Chapter 6 is about positive and neutral messages. Here are the learning objectives for this chapter. So as we are covering this section, make sure that you can meet these objectives by answering or taking notes on your paper. So this is something that several of you have asked about that you really want to learn, and that's the routine emails, memos, and letters. Some of the routine messages that are sent are replies to your replies to your customers, explain something to your coworkers. If there are instructions, direct claims, or complaints. When I send out a routine Canvas message or a routine email, for example, when the class started, I emailed you a beginning of the class letter and I attached the instructions to it and welcomed you to the class. That would be neutral information that you needed to get started in the class. That's just one example. For these routine messages, when you are working and you are wanting to communicate, the main source of communication is email, memos, and letters when you're in a workplace setting. You're going to email, for example, I email coworkers or instructors. This is usually the way that I communicate with the accounting and business instructors. This is the way that I usually communicate with e-learning. So that's really what I use the most. As far as with students, I probably use Canvas more. Memos. So when I sent you the instructions on how to get started in the class, it's very similar, but they're usually longer. Communication is usually attached to an email and it's in a document. Then letters are still being used when we communicate outside of the job. We will write letters, and this is usually, like I said, for external. And these letters can be in hard copy. Letters are still being used, or in electronic form. It just depends on the business and how they communicate with either their customers or clients or anyone outside that company. They're probably going to use some form of letter. However, I do want to mention social media is becoming a way to communicate that's very popular. So we could throw social media in here somewhere to provide information to customers. Social media could be used. So if you've ever written a business letter in another class, you probably understand the format. This is the preferred channel of delivering messages outside of an organization to suppliers, to your customers, government agencies, other businesses. If you get a letter in the mail and it looks formal, that's really going to get more of your attention. Sometimes when you get an email, you may overlook the email. I love this quote from the Emily Post Institute. It says, the old-fashioned personal business letter written on pristine, high-quality paper, sealed in an envelope and delivered by post or by hand, remains the single most impressive written ambassador for your company. A letter has a dignity that cannot be equaled by electronic mail or fax correspondence. So this is just showing you how important you feel when you get that old-fashioned personal business letter. I do think letters are more personal than the email. Business letters are used for many reasons. One reason that a business letter would be preferred over an email is for confidentiality, and really having it written on paper makes it permanent. and it's more formal. And for example, if a company enters into agreement with another company, business letters introduce the agreement and record decisions and the points of understanding. Business letters, they deliver contracts, they can explain terms, exchange ideas, negotiate agreements, answer any vendor questions, and really maintain customer relations. So business letters are still very popular. Here is a model document on page 154. This is, see how it has the letterhead up top? It's also in block style, so we don't indent, and we single space and double space in between paragraphs. That's called block style. You have your date and then your inside address, then your salutation, and you can have a subject line. A lot of letters do have that subject line. Then you have your body and a complimentary close, the organization name, and then your name and your signature. And it gives you some tips here. Start the date 2 inches from the top or one blank line below the letterhead. Block style, begin all lines at the left margin. Leave your side margins 1 to 1.5 inches. It really just going to depend on the letter, the length of the letter in that font size. Single space, like I said, double space between paragraphs, and use left, not right justification. And this just mentions everything that I just said. So you want to use ragged right margins, but the left side should be nice and clean. And I really want you to look at these questions about emails and letters and think about how you handle letters, what kind of letters do you receive, and how you handle your emails. After answering the questions on the previous slide, I want you to think about, what do these answers tell you about emails? What's their purpose? Well, emails are generally used for relaying neutral messages. And remember, emails are not going to be permanent. They could easily be deleted. So if you own a business or you end up working for a company, just remember that an email is for neutral messages. What does this answer tell you about letters? How are they different from emails? Remember, business letters are going to be used when the situation calls for permanence, when you need a permanent record, when you want it to be confidential, when you need it to be more formal, because the email is not necessarily formal, and sensitive if it has sensitive information. Also, if it's a persuasive type of letter, it would be sent as a business letter. So hopefully after this video, you'll be able to answer the first question. Identify the channels through which positive and neutral messages, emails, memos, and business letters travel in the digital era workplace.